Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much again for joining me here. I hope you're having a great day. Once more, taking a look here at Solana, double checking a few key factors here, such as this ascending channel breakout. It does look like we got that breakout that we're looking for here. Congrats again to our community members for that. 194 is that tentative resistance, and if we do take a look at that previous sweep there, we got that, 190 to 192 area of concentration that is fully swept with liquidation delta on the increase. So again, we're going to take a quick look at the new data here, see what's going on, and quickly make an informed decision on the progression. And I'll just kind of throw it out there right now. If we close above 194, I think we're likely to see the 202 to 210 range hit. And if so, we're going to probably see a pullback from there, just based on that being kind of more of a macro resistance. And I'll get into that here in just a little bit, because again, on the daily time frame, there's not a lot of resistance between 194 and the previous high of 203 and 210 or 211. And again, when I say 202 and 210, I'm giving you a round number that's just below that key level resistance, so you can get in or out before everyone else does, right? Because you got to keep in mind, you're always in line when you're trying to take a trade or get out of a trade with limit orders, unless you take a market order. And I haven't taken a market order in like years, right? So again, most of the things I do are a little bit more on a planning side, so I recommend the same thing for you. Let's take a quick look at the back end here, kind of go from there. I do want to say thanks again for always hitting that like button, commenting below if you get a chance. Deeply appreciate always hearing from you and or just the extra support. Solana community has been awesome to me, and I just want to say thanks again. I'll continue to try to provide my best analysis here moving forward. So Solana daily time frame, last 7 days on the left, 30 on the right. This is liquidation for the last 30 days on the right hand side. Let's start with that though, because there's not like a ton of liquidation on the upside, which is a good sign. Really, we don't see a lot of opposition, so people aren't trying to short Solana, and I think that's wise, because Solana is on the run and there's no reason to consider shorting a coin like this that's super strong. Okay, now a short in the 200, the low 200s, is a different story altogether. But for right now, from a liquidation standpoint, there's not a ton of motivation for the price to go much higher based on that simple metric. What we do want to focus on more so is the liquidation delta. This continues to increase. This tells us there's a lot of bullish continuation. And generally when you see this, you want to get in line, or get in motion with them, right? Because the bulls are totally in control. We got 2.5 billion liquidation delta, basically implying that there's that much more in liquidation for longs than shorts, implying we have that much more positions open. So that just kind of goes to say, without saying here, that you don't want to go against the grain. Shorting right now doesn't make a ton of sense. However, keep in mind, 194 is that local resistance, and we'll talk about that here too. So there's a good chance we might see an initial rejection at 194. But if it does blast straight through that, for example, I would say 202, again, rounding down a little from 203, is that next area of resistance. And I'll show you on the charts what I mean by that. Local open interest here. We have the most amount of people interested in Solana at 180, 185, and roughly 188. Okay, so those are kind of like the heavy concentration. So let's take a quick look at the macro here, just kind of give you perspective. This is a daily candles, daily chart rather. And the important thing to recognize too, first of all, is this local here, 184. That was one of our profit targets for our long, if I'm not mistaken. In fact, I think that was the highest profit target for us. We got 47% in 4 days there from our long position, and obviously Dogecoin, Bitcoin, a few others too. But we secured profits there because that was a local high. And usually, what you want to do is when you do take profits, it's going to be based on previous daily candlestick closures. Like this is a heavy concentration of resistance. The great news about that is now that we're above it, it's likely to be a support. So 184 would pretty much be a good place in which if you're considering a short, for example, you'd short to that level just above 185, or the inverse, consider a long at 184, 185 if the price pulls back. Okay. So again, that little area of support, it gives me some happiness, or more so just there's confluence there, letting us know we have a pretty good chance of bouncing there if the price comes back down. Also, another thing to recognize too, that's why I have this purple bar up here, kind of just giving you an indication of the resistance range as a rough estimate. We can see right here, daily candlestick closure, we had 4 candles close at 202.25. Okay, so again, $202 would be a solid profit target if you're going to consider along to that level. Also, there was a wick, of course, up to about 210. Once more, you're going to get a little bit on the greedy side. Maybe consider securing profits at like 209 to 209.50. Anyway, so the whole point of me telling you this is just kind of give you perspective. I get the question a lot, how do I secure profits and what's the best strategy? This is like a really good, simple, rudimentary way of setting profit targets. Again, you don't set it at the exact level. You set it just a little bit below if you're on the way up. inverse as well on the way down. So taking a look here, let's go ahead and double check some things. Let's just go ahead and get into the nitty gritty. First of all, Bitcoin is running towards 77,000 as expected. If Bitcoin sweeps its upper level liquidation, and I'm going to bring this to your attention just really quick so you know it's really important to recognize, there's a heavy concentration of liquidation, roughly about 20 billion at 77,000. If that level gets swept, which seems likely, I think Solana may run to the upper 190s. Again, that has to happen in order for Solana to run, I feel, just based on 194 being a resistance. All that being said, if Bitcoin does end up continuing higher like we're expecting, I think Solana will progress upwards, but it will also slowly progress depending on how Bitcoin responds to that as well. If Bitcoin just instantly pulls back from 77K, then I think there's a solid chance that we're going to see Solana kind of like range itself before it legs up. Anyways, I like to mention all that just because that's just important stuff to recognize in case you didn't catch my Bitcoin analysis, but everything here is truly bullish. There's nothing you want to consider shorting into based on a few things. There's a couple of small little things here, and you don't want to do this just in general, but we can see 70 on the RSI as a potential resistance. That speaks to that 194 level here. That's the previous high, the most recent high back in July. You could even argue that this is a very ugly cup and handle pattern forming, and if it is, then we're probably likely to see a channel form here soon to the downside. It's going to look a little something like that. All right. So again, that's just kind of hypotheticals, situations here, depending on how Bitcoin plays out. While Bitcoin isn't the only catalyst here for Solana, Solana's done tremendously better than Bitcoin. If Bitcoin pulled back, Solana will too, though. You got to recognize that. It just recovers a lot faster than most other coins right now. Okay, so all that, and let's take a look at the 4-hour. We are above all moving averages here. This did not play out, and we can go ahead and see, of course, that the ascending trend did. But when we look at the RSI on the 4-hour, this is where things get interesting. We keep seeing this little dip down, kind of like a little fake out, letting us know that, hey, we're pulling back. Just kidding, going back up again with Bitcoin. Okay, so when you have this RSI in the 70 range, the general consensus is to leave your long position open until it dips back down. So hypothetically, you should have secured profits here recently based on a conservative type of trading style. Not everyone does that, and that's fine, but generally speaking, this lets us know that with us being back up over 70, the likelihood of continuation is higher. Everything else is kind of letting us know that we're in pretty darn good shape. Let's go ahead and close that for now. Let's double check the 1 hour too. I'm curious about the Ichimoku cloud. Should be in good shape, which we are. We can see a lot of support in this range here of 184 to 190. Okay, so if the price does pull back, folks, I feel confident in saying that 184-ish, 184 to 185 would be a solid consideration for a long. And or if you're going to consider shorting, maybe recommend waiting until the price gets in the upper 190s. And if so, a short to the 185 range makes sense as well. Okay. Or, alternative to that, depending on how much time we spend up here, we could be creating a new high. So a lot of times shorting to the local high, which is 192, would be also a sensible way to take profit, a little bit more on the conservative side. Just some food for thought there, folks. I like to give you all sorts of different scenarios. While trading is never perfect, I am far from perfect. A lot of the scenarios that we've been drawing out here recently, and in the last few months, honestly, have been playing out pretty well. Mainly because being conservative and just waiting for good trades, right? Again, I share these results with you because they are just patient trades. I don't take hundreds of trades every month. I might take 20 to 30 tops in bullish trends, maybe a little bit more. For example, last month, I think we only had about 20 trades, if I'm not mistaken. It really wasn't that much. But again, statistical probabilities are higher if you are patient and you wait for better opportunities. And again, good opportunities are emerging here soon with Bitcoin trying to run and break its more local all-time high. So again, interesting stuff. Always a fun, dynamic environment, but I do want to say thanks again so much for all the wonderful constructive feedback from my Solana community. Heads up, I'm going to update our playout chart, post on Twitter, Telegram, and Discord. I didn't bother with our fib levels here. Future reference too with fib levels when the price is running. You generally want to adjust your fib levels to the local high, which yesterday's candlestick closure was 190. And then we can reverse to see how much higher up it's going to go, right? So hypothetically, the next stop for Solana would be 199.50. And then secondary, tertiary to that, 204, 211. These are fib levels, not an exact science. Do not take trades based solely on that one thing. Take a blended approach, and you're going to have a lot more success. Okay, so again, just some friendly advice. I hope that makes sense and that suited you well. Thanks again so much for your time. We'll look forward to seeing the next one. Oh, I'm sorry. I totally forgot. Awesome results here so far with our trading community. Our trading community has traded 169 million in volume. That's a pretty good chunk. We hit 500 million volume. That 60K prize pool is unlocked. Top 20 contestants or just participants essentially qualify. So cool stuff. Check it out. Link down below if you haven't checked it out already. Hope you have a good one. We'll see you next one. Take care.